So this is why the message is so important. When people wonder, it's because we're talking about the future of our society. It's not immigrants that are fucking things up. It's not creationists. It is these things that we're talking about. It is the worship of the vagina. You know, the woman can do no wrong. Even when she's doing wrong, you know, she should be allowed to do it.
Well, how can you feel these other problems, perceived or otherwise, with a heated gynocentric mind? You will look at everything through the prism of protecting these women that don't want necessarily the protection or don't appreciate it. You're going to look at okay, this is my set of women. These are my women. I need to do this for them, which is tribalism. It all goes back to gynocentrism. It all goes back on exploiting men's virtue of wanting to protect those they care about women and children. They use the best features of men against men. You know, to this day, I'm not going to apologize to anyone about my using my protective instincts for my daughter. I think it's a very just thing to do. You have to do it in this world. I think it's been very advantageous that I've resisted that urge to fight on behalf of women or a single woman or the plight of women, because that's what gets men in trouble.
I mean, we're still in that culture, aren't we? We're still in a very gynocentric, woman can do no wrong, white knighting, simp mangina culture. You know, why would you want to propagate this? And this is a problem. When guys, they first come into MGTOW, yeah, we give them a leeway. We give them a big leeway. But when you brush the old message underneath the carpet and you say, well, fuck you guys, fuck you monks, we've now got MGTOW 3.0, we don't need your shit. You know, it's strange. The universal accusation, the accusation that we are old school, we're old MGTOW, that now MGTOW's moved on, it's evolved, and the monks are repeating the same thing. Isn't it ironic that we're preaching the original old message and we're regarded as excessive or fringe extreme as Puritans? You have to ask, well, who are the real MGTOW then? If we're fringe, excessive, and MGTOW's moved on because we're old school, you have to ask, well, who is the real MGTOW? Is it these guys that just turned up, rejected the old message, and say, no, this is MGTOW 3.0 now? You know, you have to ask about the validity of their claim. I think these guys, they had their prerequisites by having these old beliefs. You know, a lot of these guys, they came from the skeptic community. They came. Who was it that said that MGTOW evolved from the atheist community?
It was Red Pill Coach. He's another. Yeah, that's definitely a call out. This is some, you know, what are these? Another one example of these life coaches somehow slipped under the radar, and when he was already picking up traction, decided to, you know, softly condemn MGTOW, and he did it on the basis that men will never find true purpose or happiness without pair bonding and breeding. That's the basis of his argument. And guess what? He says it in a very Jordan Peterson sort of way. So most of his audience assuredly agree. Oh, yes, that makes sense. Well, why? Well, of course you need to agree, because without this man's advice that you pay on Patreon or you donate, how else would you figure out female nature? How else would you figure out how to bang them? Of course you agree to that. You've made it your purpose to exercise your base nature purpose. Frontal lobe, but never mind that. Never mind that. Go back to work, and you might get the privilege of breeding. That's the message. we're debased and we're devalued, and when those few of us have tried to rise, and we even talk about the examples of how we've risen from that, not compute.
Mm.
And we're not even like, so we use language amongst each other, and it's usually used in jest. So things like monk, Jedi, sage, stuff like that comes up. However, none of the monks that I have met, they don't act like that. There's no it could be argued that we are remarkable men, but it's not because we're magic. It's just because you applied some very simple things in our life, and it benefited us greatly, and we want to share that. And a big part of that is abstinence, and that abstinence is not necessarily exclusive to women. Some of us have applied this to other things in our lives, and we have yielded great benefits from that, healthy benefits. But we live in a hedonistic culture, so they just don't want to hear it. Like this, like here's the thing: to be asexual is now hedonistic. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that so bizarre?
It's upside down. The culture's turned truth and honor upside down, right and wrong upside down, black and white inside out. This is what we have now. This is the problem, and all these guys that are trying to divert it by arguing whether this religion is right, or we should all be atheists, or the problem is with the black culture, or with immigrants, or it's about promoting white culture. They're diverting the problem. So long as men are giving away, they're giving themselves away. The men are throwing themselves and other men on the fire to keep the fires of gynocentrism burning. They're giving away their cock. Please take it. In fact, let me pay you to take it. So long as you guys are doing this, of course the things are going to keep getting worse. You're fueling the very problem, and at the same time you're misdirecting all the impressionable youth's anger and hatred towards things that are not going to solve what's going on here. Not going to solve the problems of the West. We're trying to address it. We're trying to fix it. And you dumb fuckers like MGTOW University, like MGTOW 101, are completely misdirecting everybody. You're misdirecting them onto politics. Oh, we're going to change everything. Things are going to get better if we have a new prime minister and a new president. If we lobby the government. I'm not saying don't do these things. Go ahead, do these things. But we tried those things. We tried those. For years. For decades. Men have been trying those things. In fact, the laws are in place. But so long as we have this culture where men are evil, where men are presumed guilty, where if a woman says it, if a woman says, yeah, that man raped me, then yeah, let's lynch that guy. And you're telling these guys that no, Islam is the problem. London is now an Islamic state. Bullshit like this. Diverting the youth's anger, turning it into a race issue, turning it into a religious issue. These are ancient arguments. These are ancient tactics, getting people to divide according to religious labels, to racial labels, to tribalistic labels. The Crusades, they started over 1,000 years ago.
But what is the reward when you fight their good fight, especially for a young man, and which is usually the case? It's not the older guys, and it's certainly not the elder guys that get involved with protection and guarding these things. It's the reward for a man that would take on his own little crusade in this modern era. What is his reward? Nobody has an answer to that.
Yeah, what are they fighting for? What are they asking you to do? Let's presume immigration is a problem. What are you asking the men to do? I mean, one guy today was saying to me, all immigrants out, let's get immigrants out. What do you want us to fucking do? Is it you want us to attack anyone that looks foreign? And they say, no, we don't. Yeah, that's what you want us to do. You want us just to go around kicking the shit out of strange men. That's exactly what we're trying to get away from. We're trying to get away from harming other men. You know, things aren't bad enough for men. We now have to just attack strangers on the street. We now just attack a strange man on the street. You know, these dumb fuckers that are saying, kill all Muslims, kill all the niggers, you know, all immigrants out. You guys want us to kill all men, to kill as many men as possible. Like this is somehow the solution.